What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to TTP Sports. And as the past couple of days have gone by, 2 days after, losing the World Series, Phillies falling in Game 6 to the Houston Astros. Astros celebrate on their home field. In the moment, it kind of still, feels weird. Like you still get that down feeling. Like it doesn't sting as much since the days have passed. It's been 2 days since, but you still get that lingering feeling of uneasiness. Damn, like we were that close to winning the World Series, like 2 wins away from a world championship. The offense just completely died on us and everything like that. But overall, I think my feelings. I know this is basically from the instant reaction to everything there, how everything hurt on Saturday. I think right now, as we look 2 days post of everything, I think the bad feeling is gone. I think I'm looking at basically everything at face value right now, and I can't be upset at the Phillies. I can't. I physically can't be upset at this team. Yes, were there things they could have done to be better to win the World Series? No doubt. No doubt. Aaron Nola needed to be 100 times better. Your Zack Wheeler in Game 2 needed to be 100 times better. He was fantastic in Game 6. The rest definitely helped him, but he wasn't good in Game 2. And then your offense completely dying after Game 3. Getting no hit in Game 4. Leaving all those opportunities in Game 5 against Justin Verlander to let him settle into the game. And then your offense got dominated once again by Valdez. So that's basically all she wrote there. When Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper are basically your lone source of offense, and your 2, 3, and 5-hole hitters, they go completely dead. Basically, Rhys was dead the entire World Series besides his 1 home run in Game 3. JT, besides his Game 1 fantastic performance, he completely fell off a cliff. And then Nick Castellanos, he was just bad. Besides defensively, he was bad the entire series and basically bad the entire postseason with the bat, and basically just going through the entire year of what Nick Castellanos was. Just wasn't good enough. Wasn't good enough nowhere near to his contract. Now, do I think Nick Castellanos is going to be as bad as, for the rest of his contract? I would think he bounces back next year. I would definitely, because he's too good of a hitter over his entire career to, completely fall off an entire cliff for the rest of his career. So that's something definitely, to watch, as the seasons go along. But if I'm looking, the bullpen, Alvarado probably used a little too much. Kind of looked like the workload got a little to him and he looked tired. A lot of the guys on the roster looked tired. Sir Anthony looked tired. Even though the bullpen, I think, was the least of the worries. We can question Rob Thompson's decision-making with taking Zack Wheeler out, even though in that moment I would have kept Zack Wheeler in. But those were the decisions, in those high-leverage spots. You bring Alvarado into those situations. It's what's gotten us to this point. It's what's gotten us that far. And we're not in the, this position without Rob Thompson making those moves. We're also not in this positions, if Kyle Schwarber doesn't go off, if Bryce Harper didn't play as fantastic as he did. A lot of questions surrounding Rhys Hoskins, even though he was fantastic in the NLDS and the NLCS with, his play in Citizens Bank Park. But the defensive side, he was atrocious. So Bryson Stott in the World Series, kind of showed that he's a rookie, even though we see Jeremy Pena on the other side of shortstop winning, the ALCS and the World Series MVP. And, think of the Astros. They lose Carlos Correa in free agency and they instantly replaced it with another fantastic player in Pena. So they're set for the long-term future with him. But, Stott definitely showed that he was a rookie. He'll learn from it. This is a huge learning experience from a lot of these guys. Bohm, a huge learning experience. Marsh, I would assume it's a huge learning experience for him as well. A lot of the young guys on this roster, too. So, got to think about that. The daycare and everything like that. Ranger Suarez, he showed that he has ice in his veins. Pitching in the World Series, he was absolutely fantastic. So that's something for him to build off of. Now going into a full season to where he can actually, pitch a longer season. Because, when you're going to this year, he had his ups, he had his downs. You could definitely tell that he's pitched more, innings than he has his entire career. But what he showed basically the entire postseason, besides that first game in Atlanta, he was really good. He was really, really good. And that's something really to build off of for Ranger going into next season. Zack Wheeler basically was absolutely fantastic besides that game 2 where he showed a case of dead arm in the World Series. But game 1 against the Cardinals, he was fantastic. Game 2 against the Braves, besides the Rhys Hoskins error, which cost that game, he was fantastic there. Game 1 against the Padres, he was fantastic. Game 5 against the Padres, he was fantastic. And then Game 6 in the World Series, he was fantastic. But he did get rocked around the bush in Game 2 when you needed him most. And you definitely can show there was a sign of fatigue there in Game 2. The extra rest definitely helped him for Game 6. Nola had a really hot start to the postseason, was really good in St. Louis, was really good against the Braves. Then he started to falter a little bit. Game 2 against the Padres, up 4-0 for the Phillies. They blow that. Then Game 1, he gets the call, the nod in the World Series. Allows a 5-run lead, even though Tucker was mainly the only guy that wrecked him in that first game. But still, it's a 5-0 lead. You're putting your team in a terrible position, but they still found a way out of magic to win that first game. And then he gets the nod in Game 4. And it probably went the worst way possible. Even though he was solid for the first couple of innings, a lot of hard contact. Then you get into the bases loaded situation, no outs. You put Alvarado in a terrible spot. And it fell apart there. Like your offense did. Syndergaard in his couple of starts, I thought he was pretty solid. And is it, situations that he was in. Bullpen-wise, I thought overall the World Series, that was the biggest surprise. I thought our bullpen was spectacular. Connor Brogdon was probably our best reliever in the entire World Series. So hopefully he can build on that. But still, I don't think Connor Brogdon is a high-leverage guy. Sir Anthony showed his bright spots in the postseason, so there's a lot of things for this team to build off of. Definitely. Going into next year. Can't be mad at them. No way in hell. I'm proud of this team. They, even though they slipped into the postseason, losing that 10-13, they got in. They got the monkey off their back. And they rode from there. They rode a ton of magic. And it was a great ride. It was a great run. I can't be mad at this team. They were never expected to be this far into the postseason. They were never expected to get to the World Series. Everyone thought they were going to be an easy out to the Cardinals. They proved that wrong. They won in 2 games. Everyone thought the Braves were going to be, going to mop the floor with them. Phillies completely waxed their asses, especially in Citizens Bank Park. What else? Padres, a team that's coming off of, beating the Los Angeles Dodgers. No, it's the Padres' year to get to the World Series. Nope, ruin that parade. And then the Astros, probably the best team in the American League, 106 wins, a team that has made to at least the American League Championship Series 6 out of the last 6 years, into the World Series 4 out of that last 6 years. Never won a World Series since 2017, regardless of the entire scandal and whatnot, if you want to bring that up. But they lost to the better team. Better defense, complete depth at pitching, starting-wise and in the bullpen. Offensively, they got clutch hits where the Phillies' offense died. They make gigantic plays in the outfield. They lost to the better team. But said and done. This was probably the healthiest the Astros have been in a World Series in a long time. I don't think they were healthy last year, even though they were probably still the favorite against the Braves. I don't think they were healthy against the Washington Nationals, even though that was a weird series. So there's definitely, the Phillies had their chances. It's not like they went up. Their offense died. That's basically it. If the Phillies' offense found a way to still be consistent, and the offense didn't, completely go down into the dump after that Game 3, maybe they could have made more of a series. If the offense didn't die, I think the Phillies win that series. But it didn't. Offense completely died. And that's basically it. That's how you lost. But you lost to a better team. And that's bottom line there. But still, I'm not mad at this team. I'm proud of them. It's a huge learning experience, a huge learning curve for a lot of guys there, especially the young cats. Bryce Harper's first deep run, he was amazing. Kyle Schwarber showed his leadership, but there's still a lot of other question marks that you got to solve. Definitely. What's Nick Castellanos going to be next year? Is Rhys Hoskins still going to be a Philly next year? JT Realmuto, he's your catcher for the future. Is Alec Bohm, if Rhys Hoskins is not on the team, is Alec Bohm going to be your first baseman, or are you going to stick him over at third still? Gene Segura, most likely, I would assume they're going to use the team option and buy him out. Move Stott over to second base. What you do in the offseason for free agency. And then we're definitely going to talk about that more as we get along here. You know, Trey Turner's out there on the market. A lot of other shortstops, Dansby Swanson, Xander Bogaerts, Carlos Correa possibly. But there's other moves you can make as well. I think the starting rotation needs to be deeper. I think you got to go out there and get at least another 2-3 starter type of guy. There's some names out there that you could possibly be interested in. Some guys that opted out of their contracts with their teams and, you know, go to free agency. And there's also some news with the Phillies too. They did pick up Nola's option. I think it's an $18 million club option, so I would assume they're going to work on an extension with Nola most likely. That's just what I would assume at this point. But Zack Eflin, he turned down his option, so he's going to hit the free agent market. So that's possibly someone you lose right there, because I would assume he still wants to be a starting pitcher. And at this point, I would keep him only in a bullpen role because I just can't trust his health. Past 2 seasons, hasn't been healthy, but he was excellent in the bullpen for you. But I would assume there's going to be a team out there that needs a 4 or 5 starting pitcher that'll give him that money. So, good luck to Zack Eflin wherever he goes. Or who knows, he still might end up back in here in Philadelphia, but we just got to wait and see. I think other Phillies free agents, most likely bullpen guys. I know Syndergaard's a free agent, Brad Hand's a free agent, Knievel's a free agent, and all that stuff. So it's not like gigantic names. I know Didi Gregorius' contract now comes off the books, even though you did, DFA him. I think, like I said, you buy out Gene Segura's contract, so that contract comes off the books. So there's still a lot of moves that you can make. I think the biggest moves that you do need to make are, 1, the shortstop position, which most likely this team is going to go after. They're going to go after one of those top dogs. And most likely, I would assume it's between Trey Turner and Dansby Swanson or Xander Bogaerts. I think it's one of those 3, most likely. I would assume Trey Turner and Xander just because of the connections they have with Philadelphia. Trey Turner, the connection to Bryce Harper, and Xander Bogaerts with the connection to Dave Dombrowski. So there's things there. What else? Starting pitching wise, that's definitely a more tougher question because a lot of the pitchers on the market are more of the older variety. They're more of the older vets. I know Jacob deGrom, he opted out of his contract with the Mets. I doubt the Phillies go after him with the contract that he most likely is going to want. I think Justin Verlander opted out of his contract with Houston. I think he's going to be a free agent. I know Rodon, he opted out of his contract with the Giants. He's going to hit the market. That's definitely someone I would like to be intrigued in, even though he's most likely going to, demand, number 1 starter type of money. I would take that risk. I would think he would be the number 1 choice for a pitcher on the market for me. I would think if you have a rotation of Wheeler, Rodon, and Aaron Nola, that's probably one of the best 1, 2, 3 punches in the National League. And then you throw a number 4 Ranger Suarez, and then your number 5 starter can be anyone, from that young bunch of pitchers that are coming up from the prospect system, either, an Andrew Painter, Griff McGarry, or a Mick Abel. So, even though I'm not going to, fully go on the book, so the Phillies are signing Carlos Rodon and everything like that, I would love a Carlos Rodon. I would love that. He would be my number 1 pitcher on the market. Got to see what Dave Dombrowski does with the books, though. There's definitely a lot of other options out there. If you're not going after like a number 2, number 3 type of guy, maybe you can go after a number 4 type of guy. I know there's other names like, Eovaldi's out there from Boston. He's a free agent. He has connections with Dave Dombrowski. I know Sonny Gray's out there on the market as well. I'm trying to think of, I know Kershaw's out there too. I just can't see Clayton Kershaw leaving the Dodgers. I know he's a free agent, but I cannot see him leaving the Dodgers. The only other place I really see him going is Texas, because he's from there. So that's really the only thing I see Kershaw going to. It's either the Dodgers or the Rangers. So that's definitely something that you got to look into, that type of stuff there. But if you look at the Phillies roster basically on a full scale, so if you're looking at the bullpen, there's a couple of guys that are gone now. Corey Knievel's gone. Brad Hand is gone. I would consider bringing Knievel back on a cheaper deal, but that's probably more of the, I would say, last resort type of things, if you know what I mean. You still got Bilotti, you still got Brogdon, you got Dominguez, you got Jose Alvarado. Who else do you got to get? Billy Falter. So you still got Nick Nelson, which I'm not the biggest fan of. Zack, Kyle Gibson's contract comes off the books. He becomes a free agent, so that's another contract you're losing there. So there's definitely some names in the bullpen. There's definitely, you gotta look out there on the market for pitchers. I know Robert Suarez, the pitcher that Harper went deep off of against the Padres in Game 5, swing of his life. I think he opted out of his contract with the Padres, and he was nasty all year. So I'd go after him. I'd personally go after him. There's a couple of bullpen guys that you definitely look after there. More of the not the bullpen arms are most likely guys you got to find, the right mixes with. So that's definitely something for Dave Dombrowski to do his due diligence there. But if you're looking at the rest of the roster, JT, Garrett Stubbs, those are your catchers, so you don't have to worry about that aspect. Infield, Alec Bohm, Rhys Hoskins. We don't know what's going to happen with Rhys this year. Is he going to be traded in the offseason, or the Phillies going to give him one more season of his contract before he hits free agency? So there's a question mark right there. Bryson Stott most likely is going to be your second baseman starting next year. And then Gene Segura, they're most likely going to buy him out. Edmundo Sosa, he's a bench bat. Then your outfield, you got Castellanos, Harper, who's most likely, I would assume, is going to have Tommy John surgery. There hasn't been nothing announced on that yet. But for basically, it's a wait-and-see process with Bryce. Brandon Marsh, he's your center fielder of the future. Kyle Schwarber, he's your left fielder. Then Matt Bierling, who's a platoon, outfielder guy, most likely for the bench. And then you also got Guthrie. And then most likely, I think your bench most of the part is set up. Nick Maton, Matt Bierling, Sosa, Stubbs. And then maybe if you want to go out and sign another bench guy, maybe you bring up Derek Hall for the bench or something like that, or you keep the Guthrie. I think your bench is most likely set. It's mainly like right now, getting some guys for the main roster, getting that big shortstop, getting another starting pitcher, and filling out the bullpen depth. I think that's the most important thing this team needs to do at this point. And, you make your question marks. Do you keep a Rhys Hoskins? Do you elect to, go in that direction? So there's question marks. If you trade a Rhys Hoskins, what do you trade him for? And if you trade Rhys Hoskins, do you trade him for a pitcher? Do you trade him for another infielder? Who do you put over at first base if Rhys is not here? So there's definitely question marks for when those things need to happen. I believe free agency opens up the 10th of November, I believe. So we're honestly not that far away from MLB free agency. So it's like kind of a weird feeling, because when free agency starts, Phillies fans for the last so many years, we've never made the playoffs before this year going to the World Series. So it's kind of weird, being this deep into the playoffs. No, not that long away. Free agency starts. We're waiting at September, waiting the entire month of October for the World Series to end, and then it's free agency then. So it's kind of a quick turnaround. And then eventually, sooner or later, winter meetings. I'm assuming there's going to be a lot of things happening this year. I would assume at the winter meetings. Still a lot of big free agencies to go around. There's a lot of guys out there. Aaron Judge, big free agent. I know Edwin Diaz re-signed with the Mets. Biggest contract for a relief pitcher in MLB history. So that's something right there. Like I said, Aaron Judge, probably going to be the biggest free agent on the market. Those 4 shortstops, like I mentioned. So, and also Jacob deGrom's out there. Justin Verlander, Rodon. So there's a lot of names out here on the market that you can definitely look into. So there's definitely something there. Definitely. So, and there was also a report that Shohei Ohtani is not going to be traded this offseason. That's kind of stupid. It's kind of stupid. And the MLB just released their Manager of the Year finalists. It looks like it's Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts, Buck Showalter, and Brian Snitker. Wow. So Rob Thompson is not a Manager of the Year finalist. Woof. 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 That's basically a big woof right there. Kind of I don't know why Dave Roberts is on there. I don't know why Dave Roberts is a Manager of the Year finalist. I'm assuming they're just going, because of the record that the Dodgers had. Dave Roberts is not a good manager in my honest opinion. I don't think so. Don't think so. I would assume I never like. I would assume Rob. I thought he would be a finalist. I thought Buck Showalter was going to win the Manager of the Year regardless, just because of what the Mets season had. That's what I was assuming. I think Buck still wins it overall. But yeah, that's a big woof. Big woof for Major League Baseball right there. And I think there's other finalists that were announced too, as well. So we got, that Manager of the Year. We got the American League Rookie of the Year finalists, Stephen Kwan, Julio Rodriguez, and Adley Rutschman. I would assume Julio's going to win that. AL Manager of the Year finalists, Terry Francona, Brandon Hyde, and Scott. I would assume the Mariners manager is going to win, or even Terry Francona. And you got your Cy Young finalists for the National League, Sandy Alcantara, Max Fried, and Julio Urias. I know there's some people arguing out there that Aaron Nola should have been a finalist for the award for the Cy Young. And I think it's because his analytical numbers are really good. His B WAR is really good. His F WAR is really good. Innings pitched, he's second in baseball, third in strikeouts, second in FIP, third in strikeout percentage, first in walk percentage, fourth in WHIP. I think his ERA is probably the reason why he's not a finalist. Phillies defense there. I'm not saying Aaron Nola should have won the award, no way in hell. He probably could have been considered for a finalist, though. It's probably kind of the same thing that Ranger Suarez deserved the Gold Glove, in my opinion. I think that's, something there. I think Ranger deserved the Gold Glove there, but he didn't get it. Did not get it at all. So, yeah. So let's look at some of these free agents that are on the market right now. Discuss what the Phillies could possibly go after here on the market. We all know they're most likely going to be in the mix for one of those shortstops, the four big guys: Carlos Correa, Trey Turner, Xander Bogaerts, and Dansby Swanson. I would assume they're not going to go after Correa. I would assume they're more after a Trey Turner, Bogaerts, Swanson type of guy. I would assume Trey Turner is the favorite for the Phillies most likely, just because, the connections to Bryce Harper and all that stuff. Like I said, I assume more Turner or Bogaerts. Most likely something like that. That's what I would assume at this point. Sign Trey Turner. Amazing bat. If you look at Trey Turner's career, honestly, let's look at that right now. Just let's look at his full career, because I know he had an amazing year this year with Los Angeles. So overall, Trey Turner's career, he's a career 302 hitter, 124 home runs, and what else? He's a career 809 OPS, 121 OPS, 122 OPS plus, 47 slugging, 355 on base percentage. So he's a good hitter. He's a great hitter, actually. Looking at this season with the Dodgers, he batted 298, 21 home runs, 100 RBIs, 27 stolen bases, 343 on base, 466 slugging, 809 OPS. His career OPS is 842. So really good season overall for Trey Turner. If we look at last year with LA, split with Washington, to start the year with Washington, he was amazing. 322 average, 890 OPS, 521 slugging, 369 on base percentage, 18 home runs, 49 RBIs. He was fantastic. And he was even more fantastic getting traded to LA. 338 average, 950 OPS, 385 on base, 565 slugging. What else? 28 RBIs, 10 home runs. He was great. What else? Overall, he batted 328 last year. 28 home runs. He was great. He was absolutely fantastic. 2020, the shortened season, he batted 335. In 2019, he batted 298 the year they won the World Series. Overall, he's a fantastic hitter. Fantastic hitter overall. His worst season was his rookie year. And I would even say that qualifies as his rookie year. His age 22 season, he batted 225. But since then, 342 average, 284 average, 271, 291, 335, 328, 322, or 328 and 298. He's been fantastic. He was an all-star this year. He was an all-star and 5th in the MVP voting in 2021, 7th in the MVP voting in 2020, and he was a second-place Rookie of the Year voting in 2016. So Trey Turner is flat-out amazing. I think his defense is a little subpar, so that's basically the one negative that you got with Trey Turner. I need to see his defense, actually. Where is it at? His wins above, is like a wins above replacement or something like that. So where is it at? Fielding percentage. He was a solid fielder this year. defensive run save, like a -1. That's not terrible overall. Definitely not. I know last year I think he was worse defensively, but this year he's been a much better defender, but he's not known for his defense. I don't think he's some brutal defender, but he's definitely not a gold glove type of guy. Let's look at his postseason batting. What's his career like in the postseason? So 238 hitter. This year he batted 333. Even though there's not that many postseason appearances overall. Let's see. 2021 with the Dodgers and the NLDS. Okay, here. I mean, he's still a good bat overall. Not gonna look at his postseason stats. He's still a fantastic hitter. He is definitely a baseball player for sure, like Mr. W says right here. Other free agents, Xander Bogaerts. Basically, you know where you're gonna get. Good quality hitter. That's basically it. I'm going to see Xander Bogaerts. Actually, let's look at Xander overall. Basically, they're around the same age. I think Xander is a little bit older, like maybe a year older than Trey Turner. Look at Xander over the years. Still a fantastic hitter on his own right. 307 average, 295 average, 300 average, 309, 288, 273. Overall, a fantastic hitter in his own right. 2019. All-Star year, 33 home runs, 117 RBIs. The year the Red Sox won the World Series, 23 home runs, 103 RBIs. This year, he had 15 home runs, 73 RBIs, but I think that's also credit to the Red Sox not being good this year. 23 home runs last year. Overall, he's a really good quality hitter. Let's look at his postseason batting. Great hitter in the postseason. Fielding, he was definitely a lot better of a fielder this year. Definitely. But overall, his career, he's not the best fielder either. I think Dansby has those guys beat in the field overall. I think Dansby is probably more of the risk type of guy. I think that's basically it there. Look at Dansby, Swanson, 277 batting average this year. Last year, batted 248. 2020, batted 274, 251 in 2019, 238. So he's basically an up and down type of player, but he really came into his own this year. 25 home runs, 96 RBIs, all-star, gold glove. So he was really good this year. This is basically more of a breakout type of season for Dansby Swanson. So maybe that's more of a risk you're taking there with Dansby, just because hasn't really shown that consistency yet. But, 25 home runs this year, 27 home runs last year. So he's showing a lot more pop in the bat. He'll be 29 years old going into this season. So he's definitely another young guy you can bring in, a guy that's won a World Series, a guy that can bring leadership into that clubhouse, a guy that knows how to win it all. So that's definitely another help for your clubhouse. And overall, his fielding, like I said, I think overall he has the other guys beat. I think he's a really good fielder. So, yeah, that's basically it right there for Dansby. I don't think they're going to have the Correa. I think that's basically here. So we got to wait and see. Got to wait and see what happens overall. If we're looking at the pitching side of things, starting pitching wise, Phillies definitely need an upgrade there. If we look at the market, there's definitely a lot of older guys there. David Price, I want to go after David Price. Jacob deGrom, he opted out of his contract. I don't think the Phillies are going to go after him. I don't want the Phillies to pay that price for him. Even though Jacob deGrom is one of the best pitchers in the league. He's kind of made of glass. In my honest opinion. Justin Verlander, I think he's opting out of his contract to hit free agency. Rodon, he opted out of his contract with San Francisco. So he's definitely going to be one of the more sought-out pitchers on the market. Syndergaard is a free agent. I would say Syndergaard is more of a backup option, in my honest opinion. Kershaw's out there. Eovaldi's out there. I would take a shot of Eovaldi if you can't get any other the big guys. Carrasco's out there, but I think the Mets bring him back. Paxton's out there. Sean Manaea, Mike Minor, Chris Bassett. Bassett's definitely an option there. Who else? Tyler Anderson with the Dodgers. He had a good year. Who else? Odorizzi's out there. Taijuan Walker. Michael Wacha. Michael Lorenzen. Tyone. Who else? I know Sonny Gray's on here too as well. So there's definitely some options there. There's definitely, not a lot of big things there. But I think the Phillies are definitely going to look into the starting pitching market. And if we're looking at the relief pitchers, it's definitely going to be a mixed bunch. I know Edwin Diaz, he just re-signed with the Braves. So he's definitely off the market. Aroldis Chapman, after that, the terrible year he had this year, I'm not sure who's going to want him. Kenley Jansen, the free agent, I'm not sure if the Braves take another crack at bringing him back for the bullpen. Will Smith's a free agent. Corey Knebel's a free agent. Will Harris, Trevor May, Taylor Rogers, Nick Martinez. I take a crack at Nick Martinez from the San Diego Padres. He was really good. Robert Suarez, he opted out of his contract. I take a crack at him. Who else? Maybe Adam Ottavino. That's an option. Who else? David Robertson I'd bring back on a cheap deal. So there's definitely some options here, definitely. It's really what you're looking about right now. Hopefully I just didn't close that out. I did not mean to do that, so we're still good. But overall, you're looking at, a shortstop, some depth for the rotation and depth for the bullpen. I would say more for the rotation, maybe a 2-3 type of guy. But if you settle for a 3-4 type of guy, I think that's good. I would love to go after Carlos Rodon. So we got to wait and see. Definitely got to wait and see. So that's definitely something there. I know there's a Japanese player out there that wants to come to Philadelphia because he's a big fan of Bryce Harper. So who knows? Maybe Dombrowski goes with, sign a bunch of talent and then you figure out the rest later. I wouldn't mind going after the outfielder. He's a great hitter over in Japan. So that's definitely an option for you as well. But there's a lot of moves for this Phillies team. A lot of moves they can make. It's going to be a definite, huge offseason for a lot of teams in baseball. Huge offseason. So you got to wait and see. It's basically a wait and see process. But let's look at the other free agents. Just look at the entire free agency class. Just to see. Overall. Instead of batters, let's look at the batters. Just to see the big guys on there on the market. Correa, we all know. Trey Turner, all the shortstops. Aaron Judge. He's definitely going to get a $40 million a year contract, so who knows where he goes. Does he re-sign with the Yankees? I have no idea. Honestly, I kind of feel like he's going to go to San Francisco. That's just my opinion. I just don't, for some reason, see him re-signing with the Yankees. I just don't see that happening. Hosmer's a free agent. Justin Turner's a free agent. Jose Abreu's a free agent. Rizzo is a free agent. Michael Brantley is. Nelson Cruz. Soler has a player option. AJ Pollock has a player option. Joey Gallo's a free agent. Dansby, we all know, is a free agent. Josh Bell is. Wilson Contreras. Still a dumb thing from the Cubs not to trade him. I have no idea what they're doing in that regards. Duvall's a free agent. Who else? Benintendi's a free agent. Adam Frazier, Andrew McCutchen, Trey Mancini. A lot of guys here. And just overall, basically something there. I think this Phillies team is definitely going to make a lot of moves. I trust Dave Dombrowski. Trust him with all my might. Definitely. Yeah. I do think we have a voicemail here, too. I do think we have a voicemail from Sean talking about everything right here. So let's see what Sean has to say on, I guess, to sum up the Phillies season and maybe his thoughts of free agency.
So what are we calling this one, Amadeo? Phillies off-season outlook? Phillies post-mortem? I got a lot of questions regarding their off-season. It's like, I don't know where to turn with this. I mean, let's start with the starting pitching. We know that they have to add another frontline starter, but there really isn't any on the market. So I'm thinking you go with a second-tier guy. I was leaning towards Sonny Gray, but I think he re-upped with Minnesota. So maybe a Chris Bassett, maybe a Dylan Bundy or a Tyler Anderson. I don't know. I think Rodon is a little too expensive for them. Bullpen, I'm sure they're going to add a guy or two. But then my real questions are position players. I would love the Japanese outfielder because of his skill set, but I've heard he's not the best defensively. The key to me for the outfield is, can Harper actually play right field next year? If he can't, it creates so much traffic and so much of a logjam. This is a team with a lot of designated hitters and a bunch of iron gloves. Shortstop, again, I love Trey Turner's offense, but I've heard his defense isn't the best. So I'm baffled by what they're going to do. I would say, for me, I'd give a shot to Trey Turner, the Japanese outfielder, a mid-level starter, and maybe one or two pieces for the pen.
Yeah, that's definitely something that's more viable, I would say. That's definitely something you can do. Yeah, there's still going to be a bunch of question marks on the defense, but I think Bobby Dickerson has done a good job, with guys like Bohm over there at third base. Stott has been a solid fielder, but, with Kyle Schwarber and Nick Castellanos out there in the outfield, that's basically what you're getting. I know Bryce is definitely the better outfielder of those two guys, but Bryce is most likely getting Tommy John surgery, so I don't know what's going to happen in that regards. What else? Brandon Marsh. I know he had his lapses in the outfield, but he still has a very good glove. If you bring over a guy, JT's one of the best defensive catchers in baseball. Ranger Schwarber is a really good defensive pitcher. So I think overall the defense will improve, but it's like, what do you do with Hoskins and all that stuff? Does Hoskins go? There's a lot of question marks right there. So there's a lot of question marks, but I do think you bring up some great points. Yeah, I do think if you, lose out possibly on a guy like a Carlos Rodon, I think you go for, that other second tier type of starting pitcher. And to bring up to your point about Sonny Gray, yes, he did pick up his option with the Minnesota Twins. I just saw that on Twitter. So he's definitely off the books there. So maybe if you're going to a second tier guy, maybe Nathan Eovaldi. Maybe he's a guy. He's got the connections to Dave Dombrowski. He's got postseason experience. He's won a World Series with the Red Sox. So there's something there. But I would assume Rodon is probably on the Phillies' radar. They were in on him in the trade deadline. So if he's a free agent, I would assume Dave Dombrowski's going to go after him. I don't think money's an issue here. There's money coming off the books, and especially with this playoff run that this team showcased that they can go on, I think John Middleton's going to open up the checkbook a little more. I think he's going to go after a guy like a Trey Turner. He's going to go after a starting pitcher, and he's definitely going to go after some of those guys in the bullpen. Maybe they do bring over this Japanese outfielder. So there's something there. There's definitely something there to look into. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. So yeah, I think that's, I know some of you guys probably have your opinions here in the live feed. So definitely, share your thoughts here on everything before, we come to an end of this little chat. But I think overall I got what I wanted to say. I think my offseason checklist is, one of those shortstops. My pick would be Trey Turner. Go after a starting pitcher. I would say go after a guy like a Carlos Rodon. But if he comes to be too much money, then you go after that second tier like maybe a Nathan Eovaldi. So that would be solid. And then you look at, Ranger Suarez being your fourth guy. And then maybe one of those guys from the, the minor league system. They come up and they become, like a Painter or McGarry and all that stuff. They become your fifth starter. Depends on what they do in spring training, but still, I think the path is waived for them. Then you make your moves for the bullpen. And hey, maybe if you want to bring over that Japanese player, go do it. Order up all the talent that you possibly can and worry about the issues later. Questions about Rhys Hoskins, what happens with him, I have no idea. I don't know. It's definitely going to be a very eventful offseason. Winter meetings are right around the corner. Free agency starts on the 10th. So I think Dave Dombrowski is definitely going to be, up and to, improve this roster even more to get back to the Fall Classic and win one. But we saw what Bryce Harper can do. We saw what Schwarber can do. Kind of hate that the offense died on a cliff. But we saw what Zack Wheeler was capable of in the postseason. So there's definitely some options here. There's definitely some options. Let's go to the live feed. Let's see what you guys are saying here. The Union loss to hurt more than the Phillies. More Philly thing to score in overtime and lose. Trey Turner option. Long time no see. How you doing, Scott? Rhys is my biggest question mark from channel name. How you doing there, man? Like he wouldn't be a bad for a DH, but we got to get him off the first. Klosik says we need Trey Turner, Michael Brantley, and a ton of new bullpen arms and a new starter. I'm not sure if they would go after Michael Brantley. Trey Turner's they're definitely going to go after a starter. They're definitely going to go after bullpen arms, and they're definitely going after Trey Turner. I wouldn't say Michael Brantley, though. The thing that has me more PO is how the bats went dead and buried in the last 3 games. 40, yeah, it does suck. Should I buy a replica National League Championship ring considering we weren't supposed to be in the World Series? That's up to you, man. That's completely up to you. It's your choice, it's your money, it's your call. Thompson not a finalist for Manager of the Year. I need to talk with the people in Major League Baseball. Dave Roberts should not be there for his postseason run. 110 win team getting 1 playoff win is bad. Dave Roberts is lucky he won the World Series in 2020, or else he would be lost it. I think he should lose his job regardless. I think he's a terrible manager. Dave Roberts does nothing but watch his superstars teams crush poor souls, and he doesn't manage anything. What the hell are they thinking? It's revenge for the Phillies making the World Series by Correa is a liability. That's interesting. Turner, definitely a baseball player for sure. If we do get one of these shortstops, do you think it'll be? I think it'll be a long-term deal. Most likely long-term. Chris, how you doing? Dansby, Swanson able to go to the Phillies. I wouldn't think the Braves send their Gold Glove defense along with the. There's definitely an option there. I think Dansby, consider something there. Most likely. I think the Phillies consider all their options. But I would want Trey Turner more over than anything. The Japanese outfielder, he wants to play here. Phillies don't have enough high-end international or Latin talent. Also, definitely Turner is a must, but if he wants $250 million, is Middleton penny it? I think after this postseason run, I think he's going to open the checkbooks more, and especially when you're losing money as well off the books with a lot of the contracts coming up. I think Middleton's going to open the books. I think Dave Dombrowski's going to convince him. Bryce Harper's going to convince him. So I think money's not an option here. Money's not a problem, in my opinion. Let's throw some stupid money. Let's go crazy. Pitching should be first priority. Would love Correa at shortstop, Bogaerts at third, and it wouldn't hurt to ask Bogaerts if he'd be willing to move the third. I don't think they're going to do that, man. I don't think they're going to do that. Need a legit number 2 or a number 1A. Nola is a 3 or a 4. I think they're going to do their due diligence with Rodon. I do think that's going to happen. What about a Jose Quintana if he's available? That could be another situation. You go to the second tier of pitchers like a Eovaldi or a Quintana. So there's an option there. Keep Rhys and Casty because we're not idiots. Turner or Rodon is my choice. Get maybe Suarez and another okay bullpen arm and bring up Painter. All my opinions. It's definitely interesting. Carlos Correa to the Phillies. I think he's probably the least favorite. I think Trey Turner is most likely the option that comes to Philadelphia. I think that's basically what's important is they want the fans back all the way. They need to get off to a great start in 2023. I think the fans are coming back after all this stuff. Sending Rhys off and either replacing Hall or some other first baseman like Rizzo and Abreu is just too much. Rhys works is how I see it. Sean, how you doing? I was hoping Sonny Gray would land here. Oh, well, yeah, sadly they picked up the option. Griff McGarry starting the season on the Phillies as a reliever, perhaps? I would think more as a rotation guy. I would think he makes the rotation over Painter. I think Painter gets at least a half a season down in the minors again, either in AA or AAA. It really depends on how spring training goes. If he completely lights the lamp and completely just dominates spring training in the major league camp, you probably have no choice but to call him up. But I think Painter gets another maybe half season down in the minors because he still isn't fully stretched out yet. You got to remember, this guy's 20 years old. So he's not fully stretched out yet. So we got to wait and see what happens with him. Abel, I think, is more of a project. I think he's probably going to have another full season down in minor league baseball from, going to AA, then eventually getting called up to AAA. So I think right now McGarry is probably the more likely option as the 5th starter. He could also be a reliever too, and maybe Painter makes the rotation. So there's a lot of things that can happen. There definitely is. But look, it's going to be an interesting offseason, no doubt. No doubt. I trust Dave Dombrowski with my life. I trust Dave Dombrowski's going to do a lot of things here. He's going to go after one of those shortstops and everything there. It's going to feel like the Bryce Harper offseason, most likely. Can we please replace Matt Vierling with another outfielder who can hit? Maybe they go after a bench bat. Maybe they get another bench bat. Who knows? Who knows? But I think most likely your bench is set. If Vierling is still on the roster, Maton, the backup infielder, Sosa, same thing. Stubbs, your backup catcher. And then, who else? Do you go with Derek Hall as a backup? As a pinch hitter type of guy? Maybe you can slot into DH at some points. Or do you go outside a bench bat? So that's something to, get some power off the bench. JT has to get more time off as well. He was gassed at the end. He needs some games at first and DH. Well, yeah, that's definitely something that I think will be a lot better next year, just because of the whole Bryce Harper situation with his torn UCL. The original plan was to interchange a lot of people into the DH and get them up some time off the field. Bryce was going to have some time at DH. Castellanos was going to have some time at DH. Schwarber, I would assume Bohm, Rhys, JT. And when Rhys would be at DH, JT would probably go to the first base. So I think they're actually going to be able to do what they wanted to do this year with the DH slot. So that's something there that we got to look forward to as well, to where they can actually utilize a DH the proper way they wanted to without their biggest star tearing their UCL. JT was good until the game 3, and I think JT, playing so many games behind the plate, I think it finally caught up to him. I think that just being that deep into the playoffs for the first time for a lot of those guys, I think it finally caught up to them. Predictions on where Judge and DeGrom end up. I've heard some things about DeGrom that I can't say. I'm not going to say it because I know a guy that knows a lot of things. I don't want to do that. I've heard some things on DeGrom, but I'm not going to be able to say them. Judge, though, this is like nothing I'm hearing. This is just like my thoughts. I think Judge goes to San Francisco. They definitely got an open checkbook there. I think Judge goes there because he's from that, North Bay area. I think he grew up a Giants fan. So I wouldn't be surprised if he goes there. They kind of lucked out with Schwarber. He was hurt for those few weeks. He usually is way hurt more. Yeah. Schwarber was fantastic this year. You've heard DeGrom to Atlanta? Not sure. I don't think that's going to happen. Not from what I've been told. I wish I can say it, but I'm not going to. Not going to. I don't know. I know Steve Cohen is most likely going to break the bank as well, so I wouldn't be surprised on that aspect. But what does the Mets rotation even look like if they lose DeGrom? I know they'll probably be in on Rodon if that happens, but what does the Mets rotation look like after that? Because they're losing Bassett most likely. What happens? I know Scherzer, who started to look, get more injury prone and look more human. Then I know Taijuan Walker's also a free agent. So there's a lot of options for the Mets too. So that's something there. But yeah. Like I said multiple times, Phillies offseason checklist. One of those shortstops. Another starting pitcher. Who else? Depth for the bullpen. And maybe go off of the extra credit and go after that Japanese player that wants to come here. I wouldn't be surprised if he does. That's something there. Yeah, $100 million for Diaz is insane. Honestly, that contract can come back to bite them in the ass. I know he was fantastic this year. Is he going to be able to keep that up? Is he going to be able to keep that up? That's a big question mark. Were the Mets a one-year wonder? I can even say the same thing about the Phillies, but I think this year is a start of something for this Phillies team, for this organization. They got the leaders. Make a few more moves. I think you can consider yourself a legitimate contender, possibly. They got to be the right moves. Trey Turner, I would love. Love to go after a Rodon. Anything else? Be fantastic. DeGrom to me is a huge risk, great pitcher, but never healthy, and 34 years old now to boot. Yeah. I would love DeGrom on my team. I wouldn't sign him to that contract he's most likely going to want. He's going to want a Scherzer type contract. And yeah, like you said, he's made of glass. He's made of glass. About Chris. You never know. I mean, Chris Bassett could be an option too. He definitely is that second tier of pitchers. There's another Japanese player. I think he's a pitcher to be really good. I think there is. Let me see. Japanese free agents this year. Japanese free agents of 2023. His name, where is it at? Oh, here we go. I think this is his name. He's 29 years old. Oh, here we go. Kodai Senga. I think that's his name. Maybe how you pronounce it. Let's look at his overall career. Where's the ERA at? Where's the ERA? Damn. That is a good ERA. He has a career in 11 seasons. He has a career 2.42 ERA in 11 seasons in Japan. I know Japanese, they do like the Japanese leagues. They have like different leagues per year. He's 29 years old. In 11 seasons, he has a 2.42 ERA. That's great. That's amazing. Can the Phillies snag him? Who knows? Whip. A whip of point. Let's see. Whip is solid. Definitely there. Definitely doesn't give up the home run ball. His home run numbers are very low. Homers per 9. Definitely strikes out a lot of guys. They went down a little bit, but they're still like around 9. What else? Where's his FIP and all that stuff? Let's see. That's his batting, fielding. No. Where's it? I guess they don't have advanced pitching just because they don't have much on him. Yeah. I don't think they have that much on him so far. But overall, he looks amazing. What's how hard does he throw? I want to see that. Does he throw gas? Does he throw gas? Scouting report. Let's do that. Let's see. New scouting report on Kodai Senga. No more waiting on Japanese ace. He's officially a free agent. Here's hoping that is a Cubs thing. Let's see. In other words, this is solely on the Cubs. Here we go. That's the lowdown from MLB.com. Here we go. He'll be 30 years old in January. This year he had a 1.94 ERA. His career ERA is 2.59. What to know? While his stats are outstanding, the number that MLB teams are likely to be most interested in is 101.9, reportedly the peak velocity of he reached. Damn. According to a scouting report from Sports Info Solutions, Senga saw his average fastball velocity jump from 95 to 96 during the 2019 to 98 to 99. Oof. Question mark. Besides the concerns associated with the Japanese baseball players making the transition, there are some questions about whether he has the command and arsenal to be a long-term starter in the Major League Baseball or whether he be suited for a high-leverage relief type of role. While he can light up the radar gun, his signature pitch is actually his deceptive splitter forkball with a tendency to disappear from view. To the pitch has earned the nickname the Ghost Fork. It's scary stuff for opposing hitters. Let me look at this. Ooh, that is nasty. That's kind of nasty. He has a no-hitter and a triple crown to his resume. It's definitely something there. Who knows? I'd be interested. I'd definitely be interested. So let's see. Let's see what happens. We will see. This is going to be a short offseason. Yeah, a lot of moves are going to be. I don't think the signings are going to take as long as they've done in years past. I think this is going to be definitely a very active beginning to the offseason. Lots of second-tier starters from Dylan Bundy, Tyler Anderson, Chris Bassett. The route may be the way to go as opposed to DeGrom or Rodon. Man, there's options out there, most likely. I would love to go after this guy from Japan now. Bring over both Japanese guys. That'd be nice. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to call it off today, boys. It's a nice hangout here. Talk about Phillies baseball. Sadly, the season is over, and we got to wait until basically pitchers and catchers report in February. So, yeah, basically where we stand right now. It's basically like, with all the Philly stuff, I kind of feel like fatigued from watching all of it. Just sports fatigue overall. So, we'll still have our, usual stuff here. We'll have our Sixers recaps. We'll have our... It's never over, damn it. We'll have our Sixers recaps. We'll have our Flyers recaps. We'll have our Eagle stuff, all breaking news stuff. We'll have the breaking news stuff if the Phillies do anything in the offseason. Definitely don't worry about that. In terms of the Sixers game tonight, I think I'm still fatigued a little bit. I'll probably be watching it, but it'll probably be background noise. I'll probably have, start the recaps up tomorrow when the Flyers game and everything like that. So it's definitely, definitely all that stuff. When is your Union recap? Did I miss it? Sean, I watched that one game and I went back to not caring about soccer. That's Good year, though. Going to those 5 NLCS games, I'll never forget. Yeah, that's a huge memory there, man. Huge memory to hold. I wish I was able to go to some of those postseason games. I sadly wasn't. But I'm definitely doing something this year, possibly getting a Sunday plan. And I think that's something that's going to be up my alley to possibly get some postseason tickets if they make it next year. So there's definitely a lot of stuff there. But overall, proud of this team. They defied the odds. And now it's their goal to do a lot more stuff in the offseason to get a lot better for next year, to get back to that, World Series and win it. I'm sure Dave Dombrowski is going to be jumping the gun and everything there to get great players here. So yeah, I think it's the start of something good for this Phillies organization. So let's see what happens. So for this one, thank you everyone for joining tonight's stream. Definitely don't forget to leave a comment in the comment section down below. I'd like to see this as always. Do not forget to drop a like on the video. Do not forget to check out everything in the description down below. Painted Lines, BrodesMedia, I recommend all of that. Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's a great thing. Don't forget to do that. It does a lot for me. Join the TTP Sports family and also use the code TTPSPORTS, $20 off your first purchase at SeatGeek. Use it for anything you can think of, sporting events, concerts, now with Sixers and Flyers, and get some Eagles tickets here. Definitely utilize that. It's a great deal and pass it up. Once again, thank you for joining me for this entire Phillies season. We'll have Phillies updates and everything like that, but on to the usual gig of Philadelphia sports for the winter and fall. Sixers, Eagles, Flyers. So, without further ado,